Starting roster, of course, because we have ourselves 2 star-studded rosters, and we're opening up with the San Francisco Shock. And of course, when you talk about the Shock, you got to talk about the star rookie on this roster. Value from this Blade, because Violet's uses barrier.
Well, Happy's using Overclock, so as soon as Kevster gets people low or vice versa, they can work together to just shred the Shock apart, which, I mean, Gladiators are doing just that. Now, Kilo overclocked himself, but that only takes care of Kevster, and he kills Happy too, but no matter how much deadlifting Kilo is doing, he doesn't have any friends.
Closer towards the backline to try and force an Ajax beat.
Oh, there is the shout and the immediate collapse on the Reiner with the barrier engaged from Violet, and Proper is cutting off the ankles of everyone from Glads who are running past him. Funny Astro still got the touch. Here's Kevster with the blade, but he's got no one else around him. And that is the end of that. What a first round, though. 100-94 for the Shock. Dashed up in the back, has found Happy, and the shift jump not even being baited out. But as the Gladiators went back to peel for Happy, Reiner just took way too much pressure. And without that tank, there's just free damage into the back line. The Shock want to farm for more ult charge, and with that, we'll get the point cap first.
At the start of the match, I was talking about how I wanted Reiner to a third and final stage of Busan.
Oh, this has to be big, and it does. Finn and Kaluj. Violet finished off by the Happy overclock, and all damage is raining down on the Shock as the Gladiators have a flawless team kill, and with this fight win, will be sending us into round 3.
All right, the full touch on the spawn doors. Los Angeles Gladiators.
The entirety of the Shock are going to enter Mega Pack room. Finn and Skewed both use the rally, but the Disruptor shot from Gladiators behind the Shock slowed them enough to get that pick on the Violet. But as Gladiators approach, they just are getting run over by Kalush, who got like 2 or 3 kills that fight. So Shock are on their way to a flawless downtown hold. For Shock, and the barrier first from Violet against the rally of Skewed. Gladiators have to play because this healing generates slowly, but Gladiator can benefit from it in time. They don't have healers and they barely have a tank left over. Proper is doing work and he doesn't even need the blade, but he whips it out just to ego check the Gladiators because this is a San Francisco Shock map.
C9's
yeah, just Kevster just immediately to the bridge while the rest of the Gladiators use that distraction for Kevster to go to the right staircase, and Proper's been found. Kevster gets the dash reset too. Shock are gonna take shelter on this right side. Violet could be a little bit late to that party. No, he does manage to escape. I don't know why he's popping his head back out. Glads get an insane punish and never actually lose anyone throughout this fight, so that is big for Glads. Kevster not letting Kilo get this angle is big to deny that dynamite damage, and Kevster wins the one-on-one. Will get packed by Skewed, and the fight continues in favor of the Gladiators, who get the point B cap without really sacrificing it. But it's Gladiators that initiate first with the sound bear, Violet doing it second. Overclock from Happy, he has the space to work, and Violet wanted to harass him, but he gets executed instead. Now all of the Shock have to reset quickly, so that's
gonna mirror.
Rampage 4 hit by the Glads. They're barely living through this rally of Skewed. And the Kevster blade, I think, shifts all of the Shock's attention to him. He converts 2 kills, not before Proper gets the same 2-kill trade. Kevster gets the last laugh. We look back on the cart, and there's only like 1 or 2 members. The extra overhealth. Now Kevster, with the shout, can use the blade and see what he can do with the resources he has. The barrier from Violet, the Kaluj Rampage was enough to weaken the Glads, but not kill them yet, as Happy at 1 HP is still getting kills, and Kevster's getting resets into the back line. Finn is no longer alive and not even there to touch Proper either. Shot goes after Finn at the end when he's out of cooldowns, and without those supports, Shock are toast. They're looking pretty toast this map too, with only a minute and a half left to get the point.
And admittedly, Los Angeles Gladiators are doing a really good job here of generating crossfires. We saw that Kevster actually
yeah, Proper's hit by the anti from Reiner's Rampage, but Kalush does the same thing. Happy, Kevster, Skewed, Funny Astro hit. They take no point shelter, and Shock are just left with not being able to get a single tick on the new map, so Gladiators will tie it 1-1. I was not expecting.
These Gladiators, if they're going to spawn camp in the future, they have to commit to it rather than do a halfway house.
Oh, this is such an open area. Gladiators just use the shout to get a position on the right side. Shock shouts second and just rush into them. And Gladiators immediately lose Happy because he was too close, and Reiner because of resources. So Shock might lose Finn here. Not a big deal because this is a point A cap for the Shock.
That came down to Finn hitting a really good whip shot as well onto Reiner as he was trying to engage that mid for Reiner.
Finn is so low along with Violet, and Happy gets to farm them with that dynamite that got them low enough, so Kevster went in and thought he could just blade, but he's at 99%, and now there's a 3-man sound barrier for Funny Astro, because it's 3-on-3, I believe, so the Shock are left without any heals. That was a big barrier advantage that the Glads worked with, but Proper is trying to finish off all these kills with the dash resets. He's so close to Funny Astro. He dashes past. Kevster will look to him in this blade. Violet's at the top, and Shock just pushed the card into point B. The overclock from Kilo, now that there is such space between the two teams. He's on the high ground, but he's got full sights on the Gladiators, who rotate to Mega to try and get away from Kilo at this point. And Shock are just converting on kills, and Glads might not even have a hold unless someone comes out to touch. Funny Astro will be on the job, and Skewed is out too. And if with, yep, there is no touch at all. So Shock get a 1-minute time bank.
Let's keep them topped up, which can be important in these matchups. It means you can get more at your speed.
There's just such a dance between the Glads and the Shock, using the shouts to rotate around each other until Finn was left without a shield bash to get back to his team. And Glads punished out immediately. And as soon as your Brigitte falls, you're just going to get out-brawled. So Glads get point A pretty easily. Shelter at the end of the point, as Happy ends the shot on the Violet. You deny the sound barrier that they could have had. Now Glads are free to have those resources and use ults if they think it's necessary. Funny Astro drops it, but he's unable to save Skewed before he got way too close to the sun. I think it's still a wonderful fight from Glads despite all of that, and they should be capping B.
Now once more, the payload entering third point. We are going to see
Kilo, when he thought Glads was getting close, and has forced Glads into this tiny room where the rest of the brawl will take place. But Shock are so unhealthy right now, but they're getting out just barely. Kevster's gonna start getting dash resets pretty soon, and Glads can conserve their ultimates. Shock gotta hope they got a touch soon, but I think it's just too little and too late, and Glads needed to win this fight, and respawns are too far away from Shock, so that's a 1.5 minutes extra that the Glads have. Keeping Kevster in check. Proper dashes towards the back line, and Gladiators take care of him, at least as much as they can, as Shock still were able to run over the Gladiators and immediately killed Skewed. So that is great backline access from the Shock, and it's fine that you don't have Proper because you've got the point A cap. And that Skewed is there to give him packs just in case. Proper, now the Glads are baited out. He goes for the blade, but the barrier from Funny Astro is well timed. It keeps the Gladiators kicking, and kicking they shall, as Shock are down 3, and this is not salvageable. So Shock's fight will end here, almost at the end of B.
Oh, Lemon.
Gladiators hoping to punish Kevster on the approach, as Proper jumps to the sun, goes immediately after Happy. Couldn't get the dash reset because of a well-timed shout from Reiner, but he's still doing just fine, even at the 9 HP that he was. The 2 kills is all the Shock need to send Gladiators packing.
Critical difference there. Skewed missed the whip shot. Proper had nothing.
Reiner is there to try and finish up on the kills on the Shock supports, but they're somehow getting away. And left alone is Kilo, who's picking off the birds from the sky like Duck Hunt. And Shock might have just done it. In overtime, they will end it. This in their favor, and Shock go to series point. What a headshot. It's a 0-man blade from Kevster, but Shock with the 5-on-4, what do they want to do after that? It's a Kaluge rampage right into the sound barrier of Funny Astro. Can Shock even get there to help him out? Well, Proper gets punished on the approach, and here's the re-engage from Glads, who pop both their support ultimates to finish off this fight, and so they shall. With a 36-meter lead for Glads, it'll get even bigger.
Reiner there, really smart to allow Kaluge to actually back off and grab the health pack so that Kaluge to actually stagger himself.
Meanwhile, Reiner is less healthy than Kaluge, but the rally from Finn was not enough to keep Kaluge going, so you have a tank advantage for Glads, but maybe a DPS gap as Proper gets the dash on the Skewed and ends the fight in the way of the Shock, who are down quite significantly when it comes to for the Shock. And the Kaluge rampages in. He's got the sound barrier from Violet. Proper has more than enough health to keep going with this blade, but Kevster gets 2. It's matched up by Kilo and Finn. You have a 3 versus 3 on the cart, but no healers from the Shock. Finn and Violet are dead, so Gladiator's damage is all permanent, while Funny Astro, all he has to do is speed and enable Kevster, and that's enough for Gladiators to win the fight. Can force the 5 if they get just a few more meters, so Shock never want to let this cart go, or at least the barricade to move. Here's the blade though from Proper, slices down Happy, and Keela gets the last laugh. 5 on 4 for the Shock, and Skew's rally is just not enough to keep the team going, and the San Francisco Shock have done it in less maps than it usually takes. Overtime goes away, and the San Francisco Shock remain undefeated with a 3-1 win over the Gladiators.
And that was all down as well to Violet getting an amazing disengage with a speed from that.